In this video we will see the example of where this linear regression and logistic regression is used, but we will see only the linear regression in the paper. So, let us look at this paper, how learning analytics can early predict underachieving students in blended medical education course. It is hard to find a paper which explains linear regression in much detail in 2017 or the recently, because linear regression has been in the used in the education field for a long time. But since the authors might be using it for first time and it is in the medical education course, they explained in detail. So, this is a good paper to look at it to understand how linear regression. But I do not recommend you writing a paper in such a detail, because everyone now knows what is linear regression and they are looking for the response or the metrics, not the intercept values, the each weights and everything. But this paper is explained. Let us look at this paper. Is the paper it is how learning analytics can early predict underachieving students in a blended medical education course. So, in this paper they want to predict that students who are at risk, who are gonna like final score is below 65 percentage. Okay. So, potentially safe students who have final score more than 60 percentage, the final score 55 will be considered as at risk students. How to predict the students who are gonna get less than 65 marks in the final score, that is the at risk. So, there are 145 students, however the data is excluded many. So, they have only 133 students over the period of 6 weeks. Okay. So, what is the data they are collecting? The data they collected is in the blended learning approach, that is they use MOOC and classroom. The data they collected is okay. The data they collected is login, like weekly, mid course, total course logins, how many times he logs in a week, in a mid course how many times he logged in before the mid sem, how many times total login times, and login before and after the end course of the exam, like did the student really want to understand it after the end sem, something also. Also views, like number of views daily, weekly and mid sem till mid course. Also total course views, number of unique resource accessed, number of unique resource means how many resources he looked at it, how many papers he read, how many videos he watched, everything, and the data type of resources he accessed. Also the forums, like number of posts created, reads, replies, number of edits made in the course, and also how influential this particular post he created based on number of people reply to that post. Okay. And the time he spent on each of these sessions, like weekly, mid-sem, overall time on this particular learning environment. Also the grades at each formative assessment and participation assessment assignment regardless of submission of the answers. Whether the student submit the answer or not, if he participated in the quiz or the pop-up questions in the video, if he answers those questions, this is also considered as a formative assessment, okay, not the end sum score. So, they took all this multiple things, like if you see the login can be classified into total login, number of login in first half and second half, if you combine the bit lost, total post by student, all these multiple features has been created. They computed a correlation with the final score. Okay. So, this you can compute using the correlation matrix, you know how to compute it now. Or they computed each one individually, and also they identified whether this is significant value or not, because there are 133 students, we know whether this correlation is significant or not. Significant is not telling the strength of the correlation, significant tells that whether this correlation is reliable or not, whether this part 29 is correct or not. Significant does not mean this correlation is high or not, that is a very important thing we have to understand. So, what they do, they see this 0.29, the 2 star is significant by 0.01, okay, 0.01 level, yes, here. So, all of them are like average correlation, not really good, maybe this is good correlation, number of times you log in, and the assessment grade is a very good correlation with the final scores, yes. As expected, assessment is really high correlated with the final score based on the performance in the quizzes or midterm assessment grade and formative grades. So, what they did, they combined these future values, again this split given to us 6 variables. Let us look at it. They made it into a 6 parameters of engagement. See the login indicators, formative assessment, posting, time, course views and total unique days. They made into a 6 variables x1, x2, x3, x4 to x6, and that is a value. And they used SPSS software for automated linear modeling that they called as ALM here, but SPSS is the proprietary software. I do not recommend using that, but if you have access to SPSS 19, please go ahead and use it. But they used SPSS and they are reporting the values here. Let us look at the values. So, the final grade is the value is here, and the actual final grade is given in this dots, but the regression scale is like this. So, this is the difference between final grade and the predicted value. So, also they are giving the weight of each of the x1. They can simply give y equal to x1, x2, y1, this is the equation, but as I mentioned, this is the paper which explains very detailedly about linear regression, which is not needed for current setting because everyone knows what is this. So, but yeah, see the weight 0.16, 0.1 and formative assessment is 0.10. So, there is a like a weight of each of these variables, and the intercept is not given, and that is a problem, intercept is not given, we do not know what is the value, but we do not want to interpret the intercept. So, we want to interpret only this value. So, login is the most strong indicator of the performance in the n-sum. So, they computed the students performance, tricks students, and they also used logistic regression to do that, and they also plotted ROC curves, predicted using logistic regression, predicted using a linear model, and predicted using logistic regression at the mid course. Mid course is if you can early predict, you no need to wait till the students all the number of activities post till the n-sum. If can I use only the first semester interactions, can you predict it? If you use the mid-sum, so you see this, I hope you know what is this line means. This line indicates area under curve is like 0.5, and this is average, this is the average, below S is not good. This particular curve indicates how early predict you can predict, and this is the best, predicting using logistic regression gives the better better classification accuracy, precision, and in terms of precision and recall compared to the linear regression. So, that is important. So, this paper discusses what we learned in general about ROC curve, area under curve, and also logistic regression and linear regression. Please go and read this paper, explains how to collect data, how to correct features, and how to use those features to predict the final map score. So, you saw the what is linear regression, also the logistic regression. Can you list down one or two applications of linear regression using data collected from classroom environment? The paper we discussed in a previous slide, that we just discussed now, is applying linear regression on blended learning, that is the student is interacting with the MOOC kind of environment where they have to log in, watch videos, read things, post in discussion forums in a Moodle, something like that. Can you think of application of using linear regression in a classroom environment, and which data you can collect? So, list down your answers and resume to continue. So, I am not answering any answers here because there are a lot of things can be predicted. I also discussed about that at the starting of this week's course. You can predict students performance, students engagement, you can also use the students engagement in the class like a mid-sem attendance to predict the performance, lot of things. If you listed down something else, it is good. If you can access this data, you can go and collect the data, please go ahead and collect data and see which one works. In this week we discussed only linear and logistic regression, not in detail. This week is kind of less on new learning, but I request you to go and explore the tools demo to you and use linear regression, logistic regression, collect data and use the existing data, go and check for internet in the data, use the data and try to apply and understand. So, that is application of linear regression. Thank you.